Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Megan and welcome to Bookmas Day 11. Today's video is a little bit interesting. It's a project that I did with my friend Marie throughout the course of 2024. At the start of 2024, one of my resolutions was to reconnect with old friends, and I reached out to a few old friends just to kind of figure out how we could continue our friendship and continue being in communication with each other despite not being in the same area. One of those friends was Marie, and she was one of my best friends on my Disney college program back in 2018. We were character attendants together, and I made an effort to reach out to her because she is one of the connections I wanted to make sure that I put time and effort into. And one of the ways that we came up with to stay connected is through books. So I saw this TikTok video and I sent it to her at, I forget if it was the end of last year or the beginning of this year. Regardless, it was several months ago, and I honestly don't remember the creator's name, so I apologize for not knowing the originator of this idea, but we loved this and we took it and ran with it. So I saw this creator do a book swap every month with her friend, and they had a theme they had to stick to. So we did that. I have the list of themes here. I have the books here that I received, and I wanted to give like little reviews on the ones that I've read so far. So kicking off with January, our theme was to pick a book for each other in each other's favorite genre. My favorite genre, as I'm sure you're aware if you've been familiar with my channel for quite some time, is fantasy. You could probably even tell from my bookshelves back here. And I sent Marie 6 Crimson Cranes. Meanwhile, Marie's favorite theme or genre is thriller, suspense, mystery kind of books. So she sent me The Other Daughter by Lisa Gardner. I did read this one. I was actually pleasantly surprised how much I enjoyed it. And I think the only thing I didn't like, and it wasn't even the book itself, it's just the person or the girl who died in the book. Her name was Megan and my name's Megan, so it was just odd to hear my name in that way. But I did really enjoy this one. It's following this girl named Melanie who was adopted by this very wealthy family. However, she has no memory of her life prior to the adoption, so we are kind of uncovering that throughout the novel. And the reason she was adopted is because the previous daughter of the family, named Megan, was murdered, and so we're uncovering the mystery of that, as well as the mystery of our main girl's backstory. The theme for February was love/romance, very appropriate for Valentine's Day, and I sent Marie How to Fail at Flirting. Marie sent me In 5 Years, which is a very interesting novel. So we are following this girl who feels like she has had her whole life figured out. She just nailed a really great job interview. She is about to be engaged to the love of her life, and she just feels like she has everything settled and knows exactly where her life is headed. However, she falls asleep and awakens to a ring on her finger and a very different man in her bed. She spends an hour in this life, in this time frame, 5 years in the future, and goes back to her normal life. However, she just can't shake the idea of this life she had in 5 years. So that was a lot of fun as well. Next for March was to send a retelling or a classic book. I sent Marie A Curse So Dark and Lonely, which is a magical realism retelling of Beauty and the Beast. I received All the Ever Afters from Marie, and this is the untold story of Cinderella's stepmother. It actually kind of goes into the backstory of the stepmother and describes why she did the things she did, and I just love a villain origin story, so this was a lot of fun. In April, our theme was to send each other a book that was all over our opposite book talks. So whatever was all over my book talk, I sent to Marie. Whatever was all over hers, she sent to me. I sent A Good Girl's Guide to Murder that was like on my page almost every single day, and I received A Little Life from Marie. I did read this one and I did enjoy it. I lent it to my friend Leah, which is why it is not here with me today, but both of us have been reading, well, I read it and Leah is now reading it so we can discuss, but it is a very powerful story. I've heard before how deep it gets, but I didn't like really anticipate or take that to heart. It gets very emotional. I could not believe the traumas that this character went through, so definitely prepare yourself if you're planning to read this one. In May, the theme was to send each other a book under $10, and that worked out well for me because I was planning several Disney trips at that time, so keeping it budget friendly was great. I sent Marie Flunked, and she sent me Marked by PC Cast and Kristen Cast. I have not had a chance to read this one yet, but I do plan to as soon as possible. I have so many books on my TBR, but I do plan to get to this one. I believe it is a vampire-esque story, so I'm hesitant to read it in winter. I feel like it's a good spooky read, but I do want to get to it relatively soon. Next was June, and that was for Best Goodwill Find. I honestly forgot to write down what book I got Marie, so I don't recall what it was, but she got me the exact opposite of okay. Basically, the theme was to go to a local Goodwill or thrift store and find the best book we could for each other. This is by Laura Stephen, and I'm not honestly sure what it's about, so let's read a little bit of the synopsis. 18-year-old Izzy O'Neill knows exactly who she is, a loyal friend, an aspiring comedian, and a person who believes that milkshakes and Reese's peanut butter cups are major food groups. But after she's caught in a compromising position with the son of a politician, it seems like everyone around her is eager to give her a new label. This sounds actually pretty good. It sounds like a somewhat YA contemporary, and I love a good political drama element to a contemporary, so I am looking forward to reading this one. For July, in honor of Independence Day, the theme was to pick a book with red, white, and blue on the cover. I sent Marie The Royal We, and I feel like she knocked it out of the park with 10 Things That Never Happened. This is by the same author that wrote Boyfriend Material and Husband Material, but it is a separate set of characters. I did find this one fun, but it wasn't my favorite book of the ones I've received so far. I kept anticipating the level of red, white, and royal blue, but it just didn't meet those expectations for me, and I know it's not fair to compare because there's two different authors, two different stories, two different things, but I just kept waiting for it to be as good as red, white, and royal blue, but it just never landed for me in that regard. In August, the theme was a historical fiction. I sent Marie The Orphan Train, and she sent me The Exiles. This is actually by the same author, which is kind of funny that we sent each other books by the same author. This one was an Australian historical fiction, and I honestly don't know that much about Australian history, so it was kind of fun to learn about that. It talked about the indigenous people of Australia and the wealthy people kind of coming in and civilizing them. I remember like multiple storylines, but they all get intertwined somehow, which was a cool element. I enjoy historical fiction when I pick it up, but it's not something I gravitate to, nor do I find myself going back to after reading it. And I feel like I don't pick up as much of the details as I do with a fantasy, so I enjoy it, but not as much as fantasy. September was to send a mystery thriller suspense novel. I sent Marie The Guest List, and she sent The Drowning Woman. This one was actually a very pleasant surprise. I do think I will reread this one potentially. I'm definitely having my mom read it. I think she will love it as well. It's following a woman who is running on this trail, and she hears a splash in the nearby lake, and when she runs over to it, she discovers this woman who is drowning, and she helps save her, and together they form this friendship. Our main girl starts to learn more about the drowning woman's life and discovers her husband is abusive, and she's trying to help her get out of the situation, but things just keep going all sorts of wrong. And like, I saw things coming, but there was also quite a few surprises, so I really enjoy a book that keeps me on my toes like this one did. October was to send a ghost or scary book. I sent Marie Home Before Dark by Riley Sager, and she sent me Slewfoot. I've not had the chance to read this one yet. I believe it's a story of like witch kind of vibes. It says A Tale of Bewitchery. I do really appreciate how floppy this book is though. Ooh, and it's got illustrations in it. I didn't realize that. So I'm looking forward to getting to this one as well. It is kind of funny that 2 of the 3 that I haven't read are like spooky themed though, so I need to get to this one as well. November was to send each other fantasy books. I sent Marie Crown of Feathers. I couldn't help it. It's my favorite book and I just really wanted her to read it as well. It is a bit world buildy heavy in the beginning, so I'm interested to see how she feels about it, but I just had to send my favorite book under fantasy. How could I not? And she sent me Assistant to the Villain. This one took me by surprise. I expected to like it, but I did not expect to love it. This is probably one of my favorite books of 2024, and it will definitely be going in my top 10 video, so stay tuned for that. But I really love this one. It's following this girl who is kind of at her last straw in survival, and she's desperately looking for a job, and the local town villain hires her as his assistant. It's enemies to, well, I wouldn't even say enemies, it's like reluctant, I don't know what it would be called. I don't know. We're just gonna go with enemies to lovers for lack of a better term. And I just so enjoyed it. The banter in this is wonderful. The plot is so fun, and I love just morally gray characters, so this was excellent. And the final theme of the year for December was obviously a holiday themed book. I sent Marie The Mistletoe Motive, and she sent me Wreck the Halls by Tessa Bailey. I just received this, so I have not had the opportunity to read it yet, but I do plan to read it during my 24-hour readathon of just holiday themed books, so stay tuned for that as well. So that was our book swap of 2024. I'm hoping we can do this again in 2025. I'll keep you guys updated on what themes we choose if we do choose to do it again. And I'm actually going to be doing a video for tomorrow of themes you could do for each month for your own swap, and just giving kind of a brainstorm of ideas for each month. So stay tuned for that for Bookmas Day 12, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye friends!